YouTube, what's going on today, guys? It's Rick here on Ryan's channel. As usual, we're going to be talking football today. NFL, of course. We could talk about college football, but that just makes me sad because ASU's terrible this year, and we're not even going to go there. So, NFL football, guys. Apologize for the mess in the room. We are literally moving in less than 5 days. So, it's getting crazy around here. But the NFL Week 4 was arguably the most interesting week of the NFL season so far, which is kind of crazy because I feel like every week there's been something absolutely just mind-blowing that's happening. And this week we saw it again. So we saw lots of weird things this week. I'm just going to go through about 8 things here, kind of quick for you. And we're just going to talk about what the heck is going on in this NFL season. So first off, the Ravens blew another lead. This is very important on the top of my list because what is going on with their defense? I know they weren't great last year, but the Ravens have always been such a solid defensive team. Throughout my entire life, they've probably had a top 5 to top 10 defense, probably about 90% of the years of the last 28 years. So it's kind of wild to see them having such a struggle on defense. Obviously, Josh Allen is a very good quarterback, but to go up, they ended up at halftime a 10-point lead, but it was closer to a 20-point lead before that last touchdown, and they just ended up not scoring a single point, got shut out in the second half, which with how good of a season Lamar Jackson's having, it's very surprising to see that happen, but we all know how good the Bills defense is. They're probably one of the most talented defensive lines in the league, and their secondary is a bunch of veterans that are very good. So that was a big one. Ravens blowing a big-time lead, and just getting shut out in the second half should never happen to a football team. T-Law, Trevor Lawrence, comes out and sets a century record. A century record. 100 years for those that don't know what a century is. He fumbled 4 times against the Philadelphia Eagles. And you know what's crazy about that? The Eagles look like the best team in the league, and the Jaguars still barely lost that game. The final score of that game was 29-21, with 4 lost fumbles by their quarterback. People are going out there and saying, Lawrence, you're terrible, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of people that are actually like legitimately mad at him. First off, it was a wet game, which that can happen to anyone. Obviously, it hasn't happened in 100 years, but like when it's that wet out and you get the ball every single play as a quarterback, there is just the football gods work in weird ways, and they just didn't go his way that day. A lot of people are saying like he's just gotten hot at the beginning of the year. This is going to turn. The rest of the season is just going to go downhill for him, blah, blah, blah. I legitimately think Doug Peterson already was going to win Coach of the Year. What he has done to that team already, they are a top offense in the league so far. And Trevor Lawrence went from not good last year, which he's a rookie. Do you really expect him to be that good? He has all the talent in the world, so you'd hope he'd be really good right off the rip. But he looks pretty good this year. So hold your horses. It's a funny record that he now holds, which who would have thought that? Because, you know, Trevor Lawrence is supposed to be like the next Andrew Luck talent-wise, but he now holds a record for first player to ever fumble in 4 games in the NFL. Lost fumbles, I should say. The Minnesota Vikings, my Vikings, had the most Vikings game of all time. The classic Viking game, where you just outplay the team for all 4 quarters, but it's still a 1-score game somehow. That's the Vikings for you. You can never just blow someone out. Make it nice and easy. Give yourself a nice restful day on the couch. No, I had to wake up at 6:30 in the morning here in Arizona and just sit there and stress. So they won on right before overtime. They hit a 60-yard kick, and then we went down. They stopped us again, and they went for a 61-yard field goal to tie it up to go to overtime. And I don't know how it didn't go in. Like, the laws of physics should not have allowed that ball not to go in, because he had enough leg on it, hits the inside of the post, and it like just instantly bounced straight down, hit the crossbar, hits the front part of the crossbar, and bounces out. If you guys haven't seen it, I don't know how it didn't go in. But the Vikings looked better. The red zone offense, it looks absolutely atrocious right now in this entire season other than week 1. So they need to figure that out. As a Vikings fan, it's been super frustrating, but the defense played really well. Andy Dalton got the best hair in football for the Saints. Let's be honest. He looked good on Sunday. Next, and that's not just because I'm a ginger. His hair is just great. Next, we have... I didn't really want to talk about this because this has been all over the media, but it has to be said, I feel like. Tua should have never played in Thursday night's game. How he's getting qualified by any doctor, like, I don't care if, like, there's people saying, oh, they skipped some protocols, they got fired, blah, blah, blah. No. If you ever, like, I have zero medical well, I was an EMT at one point, but anyone that's ever watched football or has played a sport in their life knows that guy should not have played football last week. Like, how in the world did he get qualified to play? I don't know. Nobody knows. But apparently the Dolphins were okay with it. And now they're probably going to lose their quarterback for multiple weeks, if not the entire season, because he probably has brain damage. Just saying. Cooper Rush stays hot. First Dallas Cowboys quarterback to, I don't know if it's to come off the bench and go 4-0, or first quarterback ever for the Cowboys to go 4-0. I can't believe that would be first quarterback ever to go 4-0 because they have so many great championship teams back in the day. But I saw a weird stat saying that he's the first Dallas Cowboys quarterback to be 4-0. So good for him. You know, he's looking good. He's resurrecting Cowboys, and obviously Cowboys fans needed it because they have so much talent on that team. Micah Parsons might win Defensive Player of the Year if he gets going again. First few games, he was going crazy. Last 2 games, nothing too special. But, man, that team is electric right now. I'm so glad I drafted CeeDee Lamb because for some reason Cooper Rush likes him. But they're obviously going to have this. There's a lot of pressure on Dak when he comes back because the fans are obviously liking Cooper Rush right now. You're winning football games. Dak's coming back. He's obviously your quarterback. You're paying him a lot more than you're paying Cooper Rush. But there's going to be some pressure there. Hopefully, Dak lives up to it because I have always been a Dak Prescott fan. You know, you love a good underdog story. But you got underdog 2.0 right there and Cooper Rush staying hot. So, what the heck are the Chicago Bears? I just want to know because they don't have any consistency. I have a lot of friends from Chicago here in Arizona. I have friends that I've met through video games that just enjoy football, and the Chicago football Bears. Oh my God. They, like, Justin Fields isn't that bad, right? Like, there's no way he can be this bad. The guy has so much talent. He literally is like the exact talent set as Trevor Lawrence. But he completed 11 passes for 174 yards. He had the lowest sportsbook total yards ever. I think it was set on 144 yards. I could go out and throw 144 yards. You probably couldn't, but I could. I guarantee it. But Justin Fields, you have way too much talent. I don't even blame him at this point. Well, do you start blaming him at this point? I mean, there was last year's coach who obviously, Nagy is horrible. Now you have a second coach, and he still can't figure it out with you. Are they just not using him correctly? I feel like that's the case. Like, you need to use him in a running offense, which the running backs are running the ball great for him, which is the frustrating thing. Darnell Mooney is electric when he gets the ball. They just have a lot of pieces that are very exciting on that team. Obviously, David Montgomery's out, but like, Fields, we got to get you going, my guy. You came into the league all cocky saying this game doesn't seem that fast, and ever since then, you've been getting kicked in the nuts, my guy. So, I don't know. The Bears are in a very interesting place right now, and a very frustrating place for their fans because they're losing very close games every week. They're like the Vikings, but the Vikings have won 3 out of their 4 games, and the Bears are 2-2. They should probably be 4-0 if they had any kind of offense. So, woohoo! The Raiders won their first game of the season. For you Raiders fans out there, I almost feel bad for you, but I don't because your owners are literally the dumbest people in the NFL. Like, it's just facts at this point. Why did you get rid of the interim coach that came in last year, took an absolute dumpster fire, and made the playoffs with it? You don't get rid of that coach and then bring in a past failed coach. I understand McDaniels is the probably number one best offensive coordinator / like has the credentials, like the longest list of accolades that you could ever get for a coach. But it didn't work the first time. But you have a coach that's winning for you. So let's go grab the guy that didn't work the first time. It is a high risk situation that you're going to piss off your fans if you don't start winning at the beginning of the year with. aka what's happening, and throw him in there, and hopefully it works. And for an offensive guy, it's very weird how he's running the offense. And I think, unfortunately, the way he runs his offense is he doesn't like to favor players, because he comes from, you've seen that Patriots offense over the years. The only player that's ever been favorited in that offense was when they had Randy Moss for his prime. And I mean, that didn't matter. You can just chuck the ball up to Randy Moss at any point in time. So I don't even know if that's considered favoring him. But you have Davante Adams. Why is he not your leading receiver every single week? I mean, you could have Darren Waller every couple weeks, but you're not even using him hardly, it feels like. You have Hunter Renfrow, who's arguably the best slot receiver in the league. He has all these pieces. You couldn't ask for better pieces, and he cannot get an offense moving. So I would be very frustrated as a Raiders fan. Congratulations, you got your first win, and it was a division opponent where, I mean, Denver doesn't look that good, and Denver lost their running back. They're in a weird spot with that. Moore at least looks solid off the bench for them as a running back, so he might be able to step up for him. But, it's going to be interesting. And then, last but not least, my last topic that I want to talk about today, the Rams suck. What is up with the Rams, man? Actually, I can tell you exactly what's up with the Rams. Their defense is very cocky, and when they get punched in the face, they're so arrogant, aka Jalen Ramsey. Deebo Samuel did you absolutely filthy, which I'm not blaming you, because Deebo Samuel might be the hardest one-on-one tackle in the entire NFL. So good luck with that. But the Rams currently just aren't playing good defense, which is really weird, because obviously the 49ers have struggled this year offensively. Shit, they're not even using their best offensive player, George Kittle. They said, you know what, you're going to play left tackle 2.0 because our left tackle's out. You're such a good blocker that you're just going to block the whole game. So he needs to stop blocking so good for us fantasy owners out there. I did not draft him because I don't like how they use him, but it's crazy for such an offensive-minded coach why he doesn't draw up anything downfield for arguably the best after pass catcher tight end in the entire league. Obviously, Travis Kelce and him are neck and neck for receiving tight ends talent-wise, but the dude's such a good blocker, they're just yeah, we don't need to use him for that. Screw it. It's so funny because he's such a good teammate. He doesn't care. He just wants to win. So the other thing is, I want to talk about the Rams. Okay. Everyone wants to talk about how good Cooper Kupp is. I love Cooper Kupp. I think he's a very good wide receiver. But, I mean, throw the ball to me 19 times in a game. I'm probably going to catch 10. It's just you can't overuse someone like that in an offense. And then it's a close game. You have a chance to go win it. Oh, let's go throw our 17th target of the game to Cooper Kupp, and someone finally jumped a route and took you for a pick six. That's not surprising. The Vikings had the same struggles in week 3 and 2, actually, with Justin Jefferson. When you have an elite talent, you can't just force them the ball at wide receiver. It's not a running back where you can just try to get it to him every single play. Obviously, you want to try to get it to him roughly attempt 10 times a game. But 19? You got Allen Robinson, who you paid good money for to be an arguably wide receiver 1/2 on your team, and you're not throwing him the ball. Higbee had 14 targets. Why are you giving 5 targets to Allen Robinson? You have to split it up. What I was talking about with the Vikings is they start throwing the ball at Thielen again. And what do you know? Justin Jefferson goes for 100 yards. Thielen goes for 80 yards. Wow, it's mind-blowing. I understand that there's a lot more to it, and these coaches are very good and know a lot more than I do. But it seems pretty obvious, if you just keep throwing it to one player, they're going to stop it at some point. And he only got 8 yards a catch. So it's not like you're being super efficient with it. And that's 8 yards a catch on the guy that is the number one the past, I believe, 2 years on yards after the catch. So you can't just keep forcing him the ball, man. I understand he's good, but a lot of these routes are just little tiny routes that they're double teaming now. So he's not getting yards after the catch. You need to use your other players. So as another Cardinals fan here, I'm a Vikings fan and the Cardinals fan because I'm from Arizona, or I live in Arizona my whole life. I'm happy to see the Rams sucking, but man, they got to figure it out. So that is it for me today, guys. That is my 8 favorite topics this week. I thought it was a very interesting week in football. And just the season's going, there's so much talent everywhere that you never know what's happening in the NFL anymore, and it's so much fun to watch. So, I hope you guys did enjoy today's video. If you guys did, make sure you guys do drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.